Welcome. Thanks for joining me. This video is going to give you a few tips on how to use a chair or even the floor when you want to do a yoga practice, but yet you can't really do the full pose or do the full practice because maybe you're recovering from an injury, maybe you are fasting, maybe you are recovering from an illness, right? You don't have that strength or stamina yet. So this practice, you'll get the same benefits of being in the pose, in a similar shape of the pose, but without needing to use all the energy that you might need in a flow yoga class. Yes, it is modified, and sometimes you really have to be careful with a modified practice in that you don't let your ego keep telling you what you should do and listen to your body of what it needs. Right? I have that especially. I have a shoulder injury that keeps reoccurring from all my days of playing softball, and there's some days where I know I want to do handstands and I should do handstands or all those vinyasas in a flow, but my body says nope, not today. And so for myself, I have to check my ego off my mat and modify. So hopefully these things will help you. Maybe you can integrate them a little bit, maybe fully into your practice, but just having this in your bank of knowledge of what you could do for your yoga practice is going to assist you in your yoga practice and keeping with it even though in those times of low energy. All right, so I have a chair to begin. So we're going to start on the chair and then we'll work our way to the floor. So if you are maybe conserving energy, maybe you have a knee or an ankle issue, or maybe your hips are bothering you, whatever it might be that you can't stand fully on your feet, using a chair you can do most of the same poses, right? So if I'm standing in the chair and maybe we're doing sun salutations, I can kind of do the same idea. I can inhale, bring my arms up. I can exhale, lengthen down toward my straight legs. I can inhale, lengthen. I can exhale, fold. I can hold here if people are going through the full vinyasa. And otherwise, when people come back up, I come up and come down. So I'm working things just a little bit differently, connecting with my breath. If maybe you can't straighten your legs, you have your legs bent. Same idea. You take an inhale and you exhale, fold. Maybe from there you inhale, lift your chest, think cow pose. Exhale, round. Inhale, lengthen again. Exhale, fold. And then inhale brings you up. And exhale, hands down. So you can still do sun salutations on your chair. So maybe they're going into now a flow series. So you've done that flow and they say right leg forward. So what you can do is take your right leg, turn it out so you're still sitting on the chair, your right sit bones specifically, and then your left leg can come back behind you, right? So you're still sitting on the chair. You can have it behind you as much as you need. You can have it out to the side. So you're getting into a general shape of warrior two, right? Then you're opening those arms. You can do all those things that you need to do here. You can do the side angle pose, but you're sitting on the chair, so it's mostly working with the upper body, which needs less energy. It needs less stamina, so you have that. You can come all the way down even for side angle, right? Then when it comes time for triangle pose, and when they straighten the front leg, you have to decide, do you want that back leg flexibility or do you want the front leg? If you want the front leg, bend the back knee, straighten that front leg, and hinge forward over the front leg, right? If you can, maybe both legs go straight, right? Maybe you ground down. So you have options here. Kind of play with how it feels on the chair, right? Having and making sure that chair isn't too high. So you want to make sure that your knees aren't below. So if my chair was too high, my hips would be way higher than my knees. It's okay to have the chair probably be a little bit, your sit bones a little bit lower than your knees, but you ideally want it to be equal to, right? And then when you change back sides, they go through that vinyasa, you would go through, and then you go to the other side, right? So you have that as an option, right? You can do closed hip stuff. When you start to do, say, warrior one, you'd slide back more on the chair, so you're toward the back of it with your hips. And that way you can square your pelvis a little bit more and come up into that high lunge, right? Maybe you start to lift a little bit, right? And maybe then as you do that Parsvottanasana, that pyramid pose, you lengthen out forward. You can do twists here as well. So revolved triangles, so a revolved grabbing on here, rotating through the chair, right? So you have the chair here to assist you in all those different movements that you need. Now maybe you are good and you can use your legs and you can stand, but maybe you're worried about balance. Maybe you're recovering from an injury or a surgery and you're worried about falling. You can take that chair, do the same thing, place it toward the top of your mat, and now it's kind of like your balance, right? So it's there for you when you need it. So you can still do the sun salutations, not going all the way to the floor, but you're going to inhale and then exhale, fold, grabbing onto the chair. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale brings you up. And exhale down. So even here you could go from here, you could step back and do a little downward facing dog. So your arms are reaching down and forward, your hips are lifting back, and your chest is drawing down. So you even have that as an option. You even have the option of doing a little push-up if you'd like, right? So you can do your bending, and then come up on your tiptoes, lift your chest for upward dog, and then pressing it back, downward dog. So we'll go through that again. So you inhale, come forward. Exhale, bend the elbows a little bit. Press into the chair, roll the shoulders back, come up high onto the tiptoes. And then exhale, press the hips back, press the heels back, downward dog motion. Good. And then stepping it forward, that right foot can step forward. So now you're here, you can do any of your standing poses, right? And then when they switch sides, you'd step back, downward dog. You can step the other side forward. You can do all of your standing poses, having the chair there as you need it. So that's another way that you can use the chair into your practice when things need to be modified. So that's there for you. You also have even the wall, right? Maybe you don't have a chair, but you have the chair and the wall maybe, right? Especially balancing poses, right? Balancing on one side, depending on which side you feel more comfortable using that chair there for your balance. So then you can do kind of similar poses, similar shapes on the floor, right? So just the most important part when you're using the chair and using the floor is be mindful of it's not going to feel exactly the same. It's not going to be the same because you are modifying, but you want to do what's best for your body, listen to the sensations in your body, and go with what feels best in your body today, right? So if I'm on the floor, I can kind of do similar shapes, right? So if we're doing sun salutations, again here, I can come down, I can do a little cat-cow action for upward dog and downward dog, and then I come back, right? I have that as an option. When we start to do poses, right, maybe I want to lay down to do my poses, so I'm gonna turn this way, slide that out, right? Maybe I'm on my back and I do warrior two, knee comes out, this leg slides out, right? That's gonna be really a lot. Maybe I keep this leg down, I'm just working on that external rotation of that front knee, right? So I have that option. And then again, you can go into triangle pose, right? Back to warrior two, maybe find a side stretch for reverse warrior, right? And then you come back to center, and you can do the second side, right? You have all of that as an option. Another option is if you're comfortable laying on your belly, and if you're having low back issues, that might not be good to lay on your belly, but again, you can do the same poses, forehead on the ground, giving your right leg out, finding a little bit of external rotation of the back leg, warrior two, right? Triangle pose, straighten the leg. Good, you can have tree pose here. You can have reverse warrior, so you're just gonna take yourself and reach back. You can even find your twists on the ground, right? So drawing and finding your twists. So you have options depending on how it's going to feel to you. Either sitting in the chair, laying on the floor. If you want to still kind of do the majority of what's happening in the class, you could also go from one knee, right? With that happening, you're going to want to have a little bit of padding under your knees. And so when they start in sun salutations from their hands, from their feet, you would just start on your hands and knees. And you'd find that inhale and exhale. Good, as you inhale, and then they'd step their foot forward, right? You continue with cat-cow. And then once they step their foot forward, then as you come up, if they come up, you come up, their back leg is straight, yours is on the ground, right? And then if they're opening up, say warrior two, you're in your warrior two, you can reverse. So again, there's less effort going on. There might be a little bit more balance. You're gonna need to tuck your back toe. You might wanna have a wall nearby because sometimes it gets a little bit more on a tightrope here rather than hip distance apart. So you can do all of those different poses here on one knee, right? You can do all those. You can do triangle pose, right? You can reverse it. You can do your twists from your knee, right? So you have all those different actions, but from your knees. But you're definitely gonna wanna pad it. Take breaks when you need. Child's pose is always there for you. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. There are a couple chair mobility classes on my website, so check those out. Maybe I'll link one at the end of this tip video. Check it out. If you have questions, comments, or concerns, don't hesitate to email me. Thank you for joining me. Drink lots of water, eat your veggies, and wear some sunblock. We'll see you next time. Namaste.